How's it going, everybody? Hope you all are doing well. So in this video, I want to talk about the M18, which I have laid out here. So if you're familiar with the channel, you know that I have an M17. And I did a lot of work or shooting and manipulation and just trying to get the feel out for this particular weapon. And I'll throw actually the links in the description below of me shooting this. I got 15 to 2,000 rounds through this typical or type of pistol, just to show you. And I want to kind of compare the two. So these are both civilian models. This is an M17 and this is an M18, both civilian bought. Now in my career as active duty military, I utilize this particular pistol, which is the M18. Which for almost a decade, I was using the Beretta M9, which is here. So this is a 92 FS, not technically an M9, but honestly, the only difference is the sights, if you're familiar with it. The military use a single dot and then has a U-shaped. So it's technically a 2-dot setup. The 92 FS, which I have here, is a 3-dot system. That is the only difference that I'm aware of the 92 FS and the Beretta M9. So I had a lot of time with this particular firearm. Myself, this is my personal weapon, and I have gone through at least 3 to 4 recoil springs in this particular firearm just because I shoot it so much. Roughly, Beretta says you should change your recoil spring out every 10 to 15,000 rounds. So you can imagine my round count over a decade with this particular firearm, not to include my actual military firearm that I shot almost 4 times a year and doing a lot of different interesting things with mine. Originally, I hated this pistol. I really did. This Beretta, I really disliked it. It was heavy, it was clunky, didn't like the double action, didn't like the single action. Just didn't like it. But over the years, I really actually enjoy this pistol, and I'm gonna miss it, and I honestly do. When I transitioned over to this, I actually miss this pistol. Now some of you probably will go, oh my gosh, how is that possible? But there are pros and cons to specifically both, and we're gonna get into that. So before we push into the main details about it, I want to kind of talk about where it came from, you know, how it's getting replaced, of course, like that. So the Army adopted the M17, which I have here, which is the long slide version, which is, in my case, there's nothing different between these two except for the slide. So the frame on this is the same as this. It's just literally the slide. The rear sight is the same on both of these. That magazine, everything. Same magazines it comes with, everything like that. Now the Marine Corps did a little bit something different. I know I was told that they went to this because the Navy, the Air Force, and I think the Marines specifically went to the M18. Army went to the M17. So the Marines kind of had this love affair originally with the A1, the Beretta 92 or the Beretta M9 A1, and then they kind of dabbled in the M45, which I have here as well. I really enjoy 1911s. Obviously, some of you are like, oh, it's an old pistol, blah, blah. We're not going to get into the philosophy of it, but I know that this particular weapon technically replaced this. Now, for special forces units within the Marines, like MARSOC or other stuff like that, I was told they went to a Glock 19. So they've been kind of doing some things, honestly. So they've had like this, and this in their armory, and they're kind of transitioning around, just kind of like their firearms. They went to the HKs recently, and well, not recently, I guess it's been out for a couple years, but they went Colt, FN, and now they're rolling with HKs. So, you know, a little bit different. But originally, these two firearms came off of the 320 design. So originally this right here. So this is the SIG P320. No manual safety, as you can see specifically right here. This was designed back 2012, 2013, came in kind of to the market, and the military wanted a manual safety. So previously, the military has also got their hands on other firearms that was submitted, mainly the FNX 45 Tactical, because they wanted a manual safety, but they wanted to keep single action and double action, or able to drop the hammer as well, just kind of like the Beretta. Now this was the earlier, like 2012, 2011 kind of ish. They kept pushing it back, and they wanted 45, so this was designed back in the older one, and then they scrapped that idea. Congress said, too much money, we're going to stick with this. So this kind of was on the way out. Never got accepted. I really like this pistol, or this specific pistol for suppressor use, but kind of on came this pistol, which they submitted just with the manual safety. In my opinion, that's the only thing that they really changed. So with that change into the game is something that I do not like about this pistol and this pistol. Both the M17 and M18 share the flaw. Now, it's my personal opinion of the flaw, and we're going to go over it. One of it being the coating. They upgraded the coating from the M17 to the M18. They did a little bit different. I had major issues with my coating. You can go back and take a look at those videos if you really want to. But they kind of upgraded. They went to a different kind of PVD coating on this. But the main issue is actually when you get your particular firearm issued to you, like we do in the military, is it comes out from the armory, open or safe and clear is what we would say. And when you insert this into the clearing barrel and you go to make ready or make this thing loaded, the issue is you have to drop the slide, but keep the safety on. So you don't do it at the same time. So it is a hassle when you insert the magazine and people drop the slide. Due to these being so close together, a lot of the time people will come over the top, and I just chambered it and put it on fire. That's an issue for me. So if you want to do it properly, when you put it in the clearing barrel, you need to kind of fish your thumb up in between this little tiny gap, which works out for me because I've been doing it for a while, but is still very annoying, and then kind of come down on top of it. First nature, I guess you could say, is come over the top, swipe down, now you're on fire. That's an issue. So, interesting enough though, when we carry, put it down, and then we put it on fire, and then we place into our holster. So we're not using it like a 1911 holster, at least my branch of the military is. So, which is a good or a bad thing. I'm just so used to the 1911 because I shoot it a lot. Every time I go to reholster, I will flip the safety back up and then reholster and then realize, oh crap, I got to put it back down to fire. So most of you are like, oh, that's not a big deal when you load and you put them both down. You're not supposed to do it at the same time. That presents a safety issue, in my opinion. Now, some of you out there probably just, whatever, don't care. Anyways, moving on to the comparison between the two. These are both civilian-based models. So, what I noticed with the M17 is it's actually very nicely put together, believe it or not. It is very well machined, as you can see up in here. There is no marks. There's nothing to show that this wasn't properly gone over and shown like the attention that it deserved. But if you transition over to the M18, those things start to go away. These are very quickly cut now. You can see they're not recessed or beveled anymore. Maybe it was just a time constraint thing. I understand. I'm not hating on it. I'm just saying it's a different process than the M17 that we got there. Now, if you look very closely, you can actually see the molding now. You can see the small little ejection molding. These all have little specific circles all over the pistol. It just makes it a little less refined. Now, obviously, some people don't care, like, oh, I'm using a duty weapon. I don't care what it looks like. I'm just pointing out the fact that these two are relatively very close firearms, but they have definitely cheapened in a way of doing it from originally what they did to doing what they're doing it now. Maybe not cheap, but they're doing it more quickly. Now, more quickly normally means more issues. So that's all I'm pointing out. I haven't had any major issues with this particular firearm. I have about 500 rounds through it right now. Not too much. But overall, my personal recommendation in shooting both of these firearms, shooting this one and this one, if I had the choice between the two, I'd choose the M17. feels better in my hand, honestly. The weight is more balanced. I get better accuracy. You get a little bit more velocity because of that longer barrel, and the sight radius is better. I shoot the M17 better than I do the M18. Now, that could just be me. I mean, I'm not a super professional shooter that shoots every single day, 1,000 rounds. I have my good days and my bad days. I'm not some special guy. But I do notice there is a difference with this between this in picking up sight picture, sight alignment, and then squeeze of the trigger. Trigger, about the same, honestly. I have no issues with that. Magazine release, no issues. Frame, no issues, still the same. Just mainly the sights, and then the coating is different. So I kind of went over a lot of different stuff here, where it originally came from, blah, blah, kind of that stuff. My actual use with this firearm. I'm not too sure specifically if I like it just yet. It took me a while to like this, mainly because they didn't do the elemental tests, which is actually a benefit. I didn't know if I covered it, but in the cold, at least I am up north. The benefit of a plastic or polymer pistol is when it reaches -50 degrees and you go to grab your firearm, it doesn't completely stick to your hand like off the Christmas Story and the flagpole with his tongue. But with the Beretta, you get that. If your hands are slightly wet and you pull off your gloves and it's -50 and you go to index this pistol, it will literally freeze to your hands, and it's not very fun, and your hands are just instantly gone. You don't get that with a polymer pistol. Kind of a benefit in my opinion. Anyways, aside from the rant of that, that's just my experience being where I'm stationed. It gets very cold, and that's the benefit for this particular pistol. So if you guys want to hear more information on different pistols, like maybe do like an overview or review over all these pistols, I have a lot of time with them. I got a ton more pistols and rifles and all kinds of stuff that I've shot. I just don't really do, firearms reviews as much as, prepper videos or like get home bags, stuff like that, because that's what I enjoy. But if you guys like this kind of stuff, definitely throw in the comment section below. What is your favorite pistol out of here? What would you carry if you had the choice in the military? What would you like to carry? Heck, it may not even be on this table. Let me know. Tell me what you guys want to see in there. I'd really appreciate it. I hope y'all have a great day.